Welcome to Conscious Cannabis. I'm your host, Courtney Ora Freeman. We're here talking with Miss Kindness B. Ramirez, and the topic of our show is conscious business practices. We're highlighting thought leaders in the cannabis industry, such as Miss Kindness, and talking a little bit about corporate social responsibility. Before we get started with Miss Kindness, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, Solvere. The Solvere product line offers a full range of health and personal care products, including skin serum, deodorant, body oil, soothing bath soak, CBD drops, nourishing cacao, and renowned pain relief salves. Solvere is a woman-owned company with a mission to make CBD an accessible alternative to all those who seek natural and safe relief from everyday ailments. All formulas source organic ingredients and lab-tested CBD, beautifully scented with organic essential oils and free of synthetic fragrances. Visit Solvere.com to shop now and receive 20% off your purchase with code SolvereSeptember. While you're there, check out delicious fall recipes that will delight the whole family. Solvere, welcome to the art of modern healing. Thank you to our sponsor. With that, let's turn to Miss Kindness B. Ramirez. Miss Kindness, welcome to Conscious Cannabis. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm really excited. I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while, so I'm glad we can make it work. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much, Courtney. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm glad to be here.
Tell me about your shirt there, Miss Kindness. Can a mom get a light?
Yes, can a mom get a light? You know, it was inspired by cannabis. I was sitting outside one day and I just literally yelled out to my son, like, "Hey, son, can mom get a light?" And then it was like, boom, oh my God, that's brilliant. And so, you know, in my stoned glory, I started searching for trademarks and voila, seems to be a thing now.
Fantastic. Well, I remember we did the Women's March, I don't know, 5 years ago. And I remember that you were really into making fun messaging shirts then. So I can see like, this is like next level. Great. Love it.
You know, I don't know, it just presented itself one day on my patio.
Well, you're definitely an advocate for Canna Moms. We're going to talk a little bit about your book, which I'm really excited about, and a little bit more about what inspires you there. But let's get started with our first segment, which is your background. Can you tell us a little bit about what brought you to the cannabis industry, and maybe some obstacles you overcame, or challenges that you sought to resolve? What brought you to this industry? A little bit about your background and how you got here.
Yeah, sure. You know, it's a significant story that brought me directly to the plant. And it was in 2012, I was 26 weeks pregnant and had a really bad slip and fall in a grocery store on a puddle. So I damaged my pelvis and in essence caused a condition that left me at risk of preterm labor and in a lot of pain. And the only thing doctors could do was prescribed me with opioids, which was frankly unacceptable. So, you know, I literally sat down and I Googled, natural remedies for chronic pain. And at the time I didn't have a relationship with cannabis really. It was just, I don't really do it. It's not that bad, but it's not my thing. I'll smoke it here and there. It was not medicine, that I understand it as today. So I Googled and I joke and say, I asked Siri and she said weed. And I just went down the rabbit hole, made my own tincture, new moon to full moon, like the ancients did it, and took it and healed my body. And then fast forward to having to advocate for myself with doctors and social services as a result of testing positive during pregnancy. I saw that there was a gaping hole in the system for advocacy for mothers, knowledge around the plant. I saw the misinformation. And so I transferred, my pedagogical skills. I'm a teacher by trade, I think by nature for many lifetimes, but I transferred those skills to cannabis and, just decided at that time that I was going to build Club Kindness to be a tool for educating consumers.
Amazing.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a good time to kind of give our audience a little brief on Miss Kindness and who she is. So Miss Kindness is a power player in industry. Let me just let you know that. And she's an amazing person, a wonderful woman to work with. And we touch on different things like events. We've done a few events together, and She's a fabulous MC, master of ceremonies. Miss Kindness is an educator. She has an education background. And one of the reasons that we're talking today is because I was really excited about her new book. And it's called The Root Family's Very Special Garden. But in addition, Miss Kindness is a host for a content program called Bridges, which is a partnership with Tokeativity. And then you also have your own Twitch content that you're continuing with as well, right? What's it called again? Tell the audience.
Well, it's the perfect time really for me to kind of tell everyone what we're doing. So, Club Kindness has been a membership association. This time we've worked directly with consumers, educating them on how to, incorporate cannabis into their lives and aligning them with healthcare professionals who support their cannabis use. And 2020 really begged for me to use my facilitation skills to host conversations really that we need to have, difficult conversations. And yes, so Club Kindness and Tokeativity decided to partner on that project called Bridges. It's amazing. And now, as a result of it, I'm inspired. And so I've built this amazing team, and some of the promos are coming out now. We're starting an over the top network for Roku, Club Kindness TV, where we're really going to be representative media. We just saw that there was
Fantastic.
a need for uncolonized news, and Bridges is the sort of catalyst or brainchild, and that will be the series that we start the network with. I'm really excited about it. We tackle issues, colorism, the stigma of mental health in the Black community. They're topics. We've got the harms of white privilege coming up, so it's the word I'm excited doesn't sound right, but I am. I'm excited to be able to have collaborative partnerships with groups like Tokeativity, Women of Tokeativity, to do something like this, because it's powerful and it's been life changing. And working with Vanguard Media and really getting the message out, it's just been amazing.
I would say that these are really hard hitting topics. You're really addressing some serious issues and concerns, and also talking about different perspectives. So for people of color from a range of backgrounds and different ways of growing up and different ways of engaging with different communities and their experiences with that and how we're all interrelating. One of the kind of like funny moments was when one of the panels they were talking about, along with you, talking about how like, their Caucasian friends wanted to send emojis of black thumbs or color thumbs of color.
Yes,
and
yes.
I was like, oh yeah, I totally do that. I do all the colors. Like, do I just need to use yellow? But it was just cute. Like this is a cute, aspect of what the conversations are. But they're obviously
That's
a little
what's
much
so
deeper.
great about it. It's because you can have conversations like that really lend to a greater depth of understanding just from that, because that was a funny moment. And then when I expressed that, I'm so glad somebody said that, because I really hated when my Caucasian friends send me the black thumb, and Tiffany looked at me like, oh, you care? I don't even care. And I was like, so it just provoked a dialogue of really delving into why we care, even though it was a totally funny moment. But there's a whole lot of understanding and healing that happens at Bridges. And so, yeah, project-bridges.com. That is just my baby right now. Thank you.
It's super valuable. So let's also dive a little bit deeper into this book. So for me, I've been in this industry since 2015, and what I identified as being one of the more critical issues. I also worked with a global cannabis medicinal manufacturer, and we did research that was focused on pediatric cancer. So children and children's medicine is a big part of what we're doing here. With this industry, and with the war on drugs and the changes in legalization, leaving prohibition behind, we have a new critical issue, and that is, how do we reframe cannabis for the next generation? How can we completely turn our back on prohibition and change all of those ideas and all the stigmas that are negative around cannabis medicine? And parents don't have any real guidance there up to this point. In the last few years, where people are starting to talk about it more broadly, but parents really haven't had a lot of options, and we're moving away from the cracked egg in the frying pan. This is your brain on drugs. We're moving towards actually your brain could benefit very much from integration with cannabinoids, phytocannabinoids, and that we have an endocannabinoid system. This is a part of our DNA. It's always been a part of our physical genetic history. And we're also looking at new solutions for ADHD, for example, treatments for children. Can children consume cannabis medicine in school? Do they need a parent to administer it? Is it there's so many questions that are coming into play, but the very simple question is, how do we talk to our kids now about cannabis? And so this is one of the reasons that I'm so excited about your book, is because it's so purposeful in this aspect of what of a void that's so needed for our world right now. And it's beautifully illustrated. It's a great story. It's a loving family environment to talk about cultivation. And there's a movement right now towards backyard gardens, gardens in schools. We're getting a little bit more, in the wake of transhumanism, we're looking at how to integrate with the earth and nature, and the cannabis industry has been a big part of that. Would you talk a little bit about what your process has been with this book, and I think what you see as being the core value, or if there's a message that you want to share with the audience about this book?
Yes. It takes all kinds of people to make the world go round. So as I was listening to you really share about um, just about prohibition coming out of it, and the space that you and I get to exist in, where we feel like we are moving forward. I mean, particularly because of the region we live in and our safe access to the plant. And so, I acknowledge that there's a whole nother fight going on for still just legalization
If
and decriminalization and freeing our men and women from prison. But what I can do, what skills I have, in addition to supporting those movements and aligning with those causes, and marching and voting and using my energy, I can teach. I know how to teach. So I thought, listen, what can we do to the first step, or the only step, I think, that we really really need to be focused on if we want to legalize cannabis in the most responsible way, is first doing away with the stigma, and we can only do away with the stigma via education. And so I have the skills at a vital time, right, for transforming this message, like you said. And cartoons are easy to receive. If we think about like how the brain sees things, you can see something in cartoon form that would be very offensive in a third dimensional physical form, right? And so I thought,
Good point.
wow, I actually grow weed, outdoors all the time next to my tomatoes and other things. And, my children actually have these conversations with my husband and I. And it's not taboo because it's just another plant. And there's an understanding around it, just like there is around Tylenol in our home. And so I thought, oh my God, I think this is kind of brilliant. I'm going to just see where it goes. And it was really inspired by my son. So, I say Michael Root wanted to do this. It's true. I mean, that's my son's name is Micah. And I just find that if you can make things really simple and easy to digest, anyone can pick it up. And I have grandmas telling me how much they love the book, and uncles and aunts who are reading it over and over again, and people telling me about the conversations they're now having with their children as a result of the book and sharing it with their family. And that's what I did it for.
Well, I think you started to touch on some of the more critical issues, and how we can't necessarily solve all those with this book. But one of the things that you talked about as your inspiration for coming to this industry was testing positive while pregnant and having to address social services. And you talked about our region here, how we felt. I'm very fortunate that I feel comfortable coming out in public with my video podcast, talking to people like you, talking about these issues, and not feeling like I have to hide who I am, or hide my beliefs, or hide my passion behind this movement. And that is something that a lot of people in this country don't have the favor of feeling or doing, and I honor that.
Absolutely. I always want to honor that, because I have two master's degrees and a husband and a very supportive family. So fighting that fight, I was not alone. There was no fight. They were losing. You know what I mean? But like, there are so many women across the country who are fighting that fight alone and losing.
Oh yeah. especially women who are divorced, separated families. I personally have seen many instances where moms who consume cannabis are terrified that their ex-husbands will find out. I mean, it's just an example. I'm not saying anything against,
Hmm.
ex-husbands. I'm sure it goes both ways, but terrified that their ex-husband will find out
Hmm.
and then jeopardize their custody. So it's not just social services; it's also just your access to children. People have had their children taken away, all in the name of what is a medicine and can really help lives. Obviously, everything in moderation, but there's a nuance here to what you're doing and reframing the story and bringing families together around a topic that is loving and healing. And I think that is, in its own way, going to support this conversation about how we address social services and how, if families
Absolutely.
do separate, how they put this in context, right? And the
And
children, how
yeah,
they,
absolutely.
support this conversation. So that's
And one
really
of the things we
valuable.
do, one of the things we do too with the book, Courtney, is represent because my family's biracial. So it's representative. It's showing normalcy on across levels. And then we also give 8% of our proceeds to the Social Impact Center. And that goes out with every book. So there is this messaging, like understand that it's all weaved throughout. And so I appreciate you highlighting that.
So this is a good time to switch to segment two, and then let's talk about conscious business practices. So, as you just said, you have your book, and 8% of proceeds are going where? Tell us again.
Dude, what a great transition to the Social Impact Center.
The Social
Yes.
Impact Center. That's wonderful. Okay, so just giving you the big umbrella, Miss Kindness has her nonprofit, and her nonprofit does allow her to speak on political issues. So she's very active, active in the community in terms of supporting candidates. And Miss Kindness knows that I personally believe that she is one of our leaders for the future. So I've been doing what I can to make sure that she has a word on everything that I'm touching. So she's been very active in that aspect. And conscious business practices. So you're obviously a believer. We're aligned in this concept. Can you tell us why you feel passionate about this, or how you've structured things to be able to earn a living, give back, contribute to the industry, contribute to your community and to your
I'm
family, all in this beautiful package?
I'm very happy to share that because this is absolutely what I live for. I've recently decided to own the title of like social entrepreneur or philanthropist because I think I decided a long time ago I wasn't going to do anything that didn't serve others. So I always have been in a service type of work field. Like I did large scale fundraising for many years before becoming a teacher. And then when I had the opportunity to start businesses, it just seemed like a no brainer for some aspect of my success to contribute to other success. I mean, it's like a part of that's how we do this. That's my ethos. And I've been able to sustain, I think, because I am committed to that. So practically speaking, yes, we Club Kindness is a 501c4 membership association. It allows us to advocate politically. So I'm thoughtful in how I structure our entities. Club Kindness TV, we are working on what we're calling a pro-operative business canvas model. We allow for a co-op at the top executive level, one voice, one vote, employee ownership with a
Mm,
revenue model that allows for sharing with our contributors. So
fantastic.
just everybody can eat, and we can all thrive. And I just think if we just take more time in the planning, then we can create an economy of care. And I'm fortunate, like I said, I have a great community and I lean on them. I ask for what I need and I build with teams. None of this, like you said, we said, I'm pulling Miss Kindness in, like I'm pulling you in, working with Tokentivity, reaching over here. We can do this collaboratively. And so I'm hoping I'm modeling that in everything I do.
I'm just like tuning into some of your expressions, which I love. Like, ask for what you want. Everyone can eat. Economy, economy of what was it? Economy of
Of care, economy of
care.
care.
Economy of
Yes,
care.
yes.
Love it. Love
And
it. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
So this is another aspect that I want to just highlight with Miss Kindness. You know, there's these like bigger scope, nonprofit efforts that we can do, but just by being a part of this industry and making medicine and contributing in that way, we're really transforming the way that people live. And what we're doing in this industry will have a ripple effect, and already is, across the world. It's incredible. But EBK Apothecary is Miss Kindness's brand, and that's where she offers CBD products. So you have tinctures, they're orally administered, and then you have a spray, which is great, by the way, which I used. My father had a stroke in the hospital, and I couldn't really administer anything to him, but the spray I was able to put in his mouth, and it was like refreshing with a little mint, and it gave him a little bit of CBD, so it was helpful. And he had a full recovery, which is amazing. But in any case, please continue. Tell us about some of your products.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. I really appreciate getting that type of feedback, and I'm glad that he's well. The spray is really our signature product. That's the tincture. That's the. It is not the original form that it was, but that tincture that I created back in 2013, where I said I went from new moon to full moon, and it was an alcohol, and it was green sludge, and it was really gross. The original product. It went into. I said, how can I get this in women's hands or people's hands in a discreet way? Because I was dealing with a community that was like me, that was in the green closet, new to consumption. And this was in 2013, 14, 15. And it wasn't like it is now. And so I made this spray that looks like perfume. There's one right here.
An atomizer.
And then 2 years ago, well, actually, we switched to CBD. We won't get into that. But 2 years ago, we worked with a dentist to formulate an oral healing spray. So it's actually good for your mouth and gums, and that's the mint. And there's over 50 essential oils in it that are good for your mouth.
Wow.
And we infused it with CBD, and it's killing it. And of course, we do full spectrum tinctures and gummies, and we just incorporated a bath salt into the line. But I think this year I want to go and have it manufactured in THC. I think it's time to bring it back.
Well, I feel like things are getting a little easier for us these days. I have some new opportunities as well. It's been really challenging the last 5 years without, gazillions of dollars to penetrate and set up different supply chains and everything else. If anyone is in our audience is interested in investing, get in touch because we can put you in touch with the right people.
For sure. No, and you're right. Speaking of like this change in trends and like what we're doing now, I remember when we went into legalization, I asked right away about like commercial kitchens because my husband and I had a juice bar. We were making popsicles, and I was like, this just makes sense. And I remember at the time, the health department was like, oh, that's never going to happen. And
commercial kitchens are out.
Like, what? And commercial kitchens are like, yeah. And it's like, oh, can you do my spray? Can you manufacture for me? Oh, yeah, let's do an agreement. No problem. What? Like, we had to get here. We had to get here. And I think that's progress. And I at least I'm happy about that happening within cannabis.
Agreed. All right, so I think it's time to move into segment 3. We're going to talk about some insights and hear what Miss Kindness has to say about the future of the cannabis industry. What would you say is your kind of key focus for insights or takeaways for the future of cannabis industry?
So I think there are a couple of things I'm excited about. I'm really vibing with these sort of hybrid event models where there are people in an intimate space, but then because of, the pandemic, we've learned that we can connect online. And so I really am liking that vibe that we have people connecting via these platforms while they're also in a space, and you gain access to people doing things across the globe, and you can build collaboration that way. So I do see us becoming more progressive in how we build our collaborative partnerships across the globe because of the pandemic. Right? And this may be because of the ethos and space that, you and I and our community moves within, but I am optimistic about the consciousness, the awareness I see, the awakening I see within cannabis about what brand should I be purchasing from, who are the minority owned, who are the BIPOC owned, women owned, how can I collaborate with people who don't look like me or don't come from my same background. And I'm watching that happen in front of me via all of the groups that I work with, and that gives me hope. And I do believe that because we're coming out of prohibition and we have the opportunity to really shape this industry, the very core of what cannabis is as a community plant speaks to its ability to help us achieve health equity. And so I think that that's happening. It's happening. There's a movement, and I'm happy about that.
Well, I find that very heartening. I myself kind of built a platform on the integration of cannabis and spirituality because I have been of the impression that there is an awakening happening and that people are looking at new ways to live that integrate more of what is not seen in our world and
Hmm.
in finding hope and in tunneling that passion towards great things and making the world a better place. In my experience, I find that it's been very slow. I'm feeling that it's just, I don't like, for a moment, I was like, is it even happening? I don't know. I am starting to feel like things are picking up, and I'm starting to feel like it's happening, but not in the way I thought it might. So I love what you're saying about people being more aware. Shout out to a new brand called Evidence. They're cultivating in a former prison to support people's liberty who have been incarcerated for possession, etc., which is a really cool concept. And when I think when I started, really getting involved with community in this industry, we were really focused on the community because there were so many big players coming in that wouldn't necessarily support our
Hmm.
ideologies or care about craft cultivation or how the pioneers that got us here actually paved the way and created a space legally and built this industry when there was no industry. So when I see that now these big players are here, we have major organizations that are global with unimaginable amounts of money,
Hmm.
who are really focused on the bottom line, not the triple bottom line. They're just focused on revenue, completely corporate mindset. I am seeing that we've kind of gotten away from that, and with adult use coming in, I had a fear that the integrity of our industry would be undermined because there's a lot of people who see adult use consumption as stoner culture or taboo. They don't get it. So for them,
Hmm.
it's like you just want to get high, and
It's an
there's
excuse to
already
get
people.
high, right?
Yeah, there's also people who are lifelong consumers who don't believe that it's medicine. I mean, they've been doing it all along. They just like it. They're like laugh at you when you talk about cannabis medicine. Like, yeah, sure. They still don't get it. So, I mean, it's across the spectrum. There's all different perspectives, but I am seeing now that there is kind of a return. Like the OGs are coming out and saying, you know what, we're going to put the focus back on what we're doing here. And with everything that happened last year with BLM, we've seen some great gains in terms of the conversation being had around the private prison incarceration system and what's happening. So I do feel like now things are shifting again, like more effectively, and I feel like the awakening is happening. Just it's not happening the way I thought it would. I think that the perspectives are different. Like people are more open minded. I mean, it's just that simple. They're just more
Hmm.
open minded to concepts of what we're talking
I think
about.
that's as a direct result of the collective compound suffering that we have gone through as an entire globe over the last 18 months. And so spirit really checked us, like Mother Earth checked us. And we all felt it at the same time. It's like watching that George Floyd video around the globe at the same time. Everybody's cells were reacting collectively. And so this is why I think this will be different. It's a different awakening. So it has taken a really long time, and I think it's still going to take a lot more time. But I'm happy to be alive in this body in this time right now. It's pretty. I'm like, yeah. As you were
It's
talking, I'm just like,
It's
yeah.
pretty incredible. And you're touching also on, during the global pandemic lockdown, we started to see a little bit of kind of a tapering off on the momentum for our movement and the amount of press it was getting. Like it used to be like CVS put a cannabis product, a CBD product on the shelves, and then all this press came out, and then CVS would take the product off the shelves. Well, now news comes through. Nobody even talks about it. CVS has all the products on the shelves. Vaughn's got the product on the shelves. They got skincare, everything. Nobody even talks about it anymore. So we kind of lost some of our momentum. But then with the lockdown, we got this new cannabis is essential moniker.
Yes.
So that really was a game changer, and it really is saying, this is a very important part of our culture and our community. It's very important that we have safe access. And when most stores are closed and people are sheltering in place, we want them to have access to cannabis medicine. So I think that was a big piece of our puzzle moving forward. It gave us a real boost that we needed at the time that we needed it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's probably also like that's probably a big sign of the awakening if our municipalities and our government leaders are taking a stand and saying, yes, we need to support cannabis medicine. I know a number of people who I never thought would consume cannabis ever, but they take capsules for sleep or a tincture for sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep is one of the things that really affects people. So I guess that's also a part of the awakening, is that we are seeing the new adopters coming online with with consumption for basic needs that are effect based, sleep,
Right.
anxiety, things like that. And with this, with what's happened in the last year and a half, I think for me, one of the insights I see for the future is a real need to remediate trauma. And even when
Mm.
cannabis was being prohibited during the Anslinger days, the AMA said that the cannabis plant is unique in all the plant kingdom because it uncovers the subconscious, and that is very
Right.
necessary in order to treat trauma. So, with anxiety or the trauma of just even having your schedule shifted can affect some people. So, being on lockdown and alone in many cases for like single people for 6 months or longer, this could have a long lasting effect. So this is another area that I think will be a big focus for the future of the cannabis industry, is more solutions for remediating trauma.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I was just having a conversation with a girlfriend about the suicide rate among teenagers, and talking with other educators about what you learned through the pandemic, as a result of being able to really have a glimpse into children and your students' homes. And there is a greater awakening that comes with that. And we talked about how we need to be able to translate that back when you're in person in the classroom, because the trauma that we all experienced, again, back to this like collective cellular shift that we all felt globally, um, it has to be embedded in the work that we do. You're right, and that is a trend we see coming to cannabis. And I think that's what I meant earlier when I was saying I'm watching us realize that we can't build business models without doing something that is also going to lift up the community. And so that's a lot of the work that we're doing with our nonprofit, This Is Jane Project, which I've just taken the board president seat for. And we really are supporting women and non-binary trauma survivors who choose to use plant medicine as a part of their healing. And we're seeing a lot of cannabis brands just step up and say, okay, like, we are building compassionate care programs. Now, in all fairness, policy dictates that expired product has to either be destroyed. So it works. I mean, whatever it is, this product is about to expire. Let's get it out so we're less wasteful in that process as well. And we're helping a community. I'm happy to see us coming up with creative ways of doing
Yes,
it, specifically
we
as
did have some
as you tie
obstacles
to trauma.
with compassionate use. One of that was a really driving force for our industry. And then when the 2018 regulations in California came through, it restricted compassionate use to an extent. So we're just getting back on track with that now in the last
Right,
year or
right.
so, or year and a half. Thank you for bringing that up. Ms. Kindness, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we adjourn our conversation?
I just want to really thank you, Courtney, because this has been a really great discussion. I talk to a lot of people. I MC, I facilitate dialogue, but I like these. I like the ones that really get down into it in the details, and how we can be conscious in our practices. So I just want to say thanks, because this has been a really great conversation.
Well, thank you for holding space with me. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you're doing. And I'm so happy to have this platform to highlight the work that you are putting out in the world in so many facets, and to really talk about, what that is. Because, I mean, there's not enough gratitude for what you're doing in the world. Like,
Thank you. We've got to normalize it. We've got to normalize
we,
it. I'm going to
we
do
need
it
more
every day
love.
that I
Yeah.
can. Yes, yes, more love. And go buy a book and
Yes.
keep your lighters up.
So let's talk about that. Let's just talk about that before we leave. I want to make sure everybody knows how to, not just, Miss Kindness is very humble. So if I start giving shout outs, she might blush a little bit. But I want everybody to know how they can support this woman who's doing so much in this industry. First of all, we got EBK Apothecary. We can buy her oils. The book, The Root Families, very special garden is extremely valuable. You can purchase it on her shop. Can you tell them the shop link, please?
Yeah, no, I'm like, make me talk because I'm gonna start crying. It's MsKindness.com. It's really easy. It's
MsKindness.com.
Kindness. Yes. And now when there's a pop up and you just click on the pop up and it takes you right to the shop.
Awesome. I just want to plant a seed for everybody out there. If you have any children in your family, or if anybody in your family could use a little assistance in having these difficult conversations with their children and reframing the world of cannabis medicine, please gift this book to them. It is now, we're about halfway through the year. It's a good time to start thinking about the holiday gifting. It might also be a nice summer book as you start to do some cultivation with your family. Maybe you want to get this book and start talking about
Yes.
cultivation at home, family cultivation, which I love. I love this idea. Okay, so also you have your nonprofit. Is there a way for people to make contributions there?
Yeah, so I prefer that you give contributions to This Is Jane Project. This is JaneProject.com, 501c3 organization. Those are tax deductible donations. Our Janes really could use your support. We've got some great partnerships with LeafWell, where if you need to get your medical card, they'll donate back $10 to the organization for a Jane to get her card. We have a collaboration with Dear Cannabis right now where we're giving out boxes throughout the state to women and non-binary trauma survivors who need them. And so
Amazing.
that if you've got a few extra bucks, please visit thisisjaneproject.com.
So there's one more piece of this puzzle. By the way, I follow This Is Jane Project on Instagram. You can too. Do you have any social media handles that people can follow to just keep in touch with you or keep an eye on what you're doing in the world?
So the best thing my dad did was name me Ms. Kindness, and that really is my name. And then I learned from Oprah, if you're going to brand anything, brand yourself. So literally, Ms. Kindness B. Just go there, and then you'll find all the tags to everything.
Okay,
I make it
amazing.
easy for you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kindness. Ms. Kindness B. Ramirez, thank you for joining us. You're fabulous. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Please subscribe. Please follow what we're doing. Subscribe to our email list. We are available at consciouscannabiz.com. This is a video podcast. You can listen to iTunes or on Spotify. If you listen to iTunes, please give us a good review. We really appreciate it. It helps us to build our channel. And then the video, we do clips on YouTube. We also push to our Instagram account, Conscious Cannabiz. And again, this is Conscious Cannabiz. I'm going to spell that out for you for our listening audience. ConsciousCannabiz.com, because we're talking about business. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Be well. And Miss Kindness, I hope to see you very, very soon in person.
Yay! I'll see you soon. I can't wait. Thank you, Courtney.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.